World War II ended in 1945 with the defeat of Nazi Germany. Europe was left in ruins. Cities were destroyed, millions of people were dead, and many countries were struggling to rebuild. The Nazi government had committed terrible crimes, including the murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others. Because of this, the world wanted justice. The Allied powers, mainly the United States, the Soviet Union, Britain, and France, began searching for Nazi leaders and soldiers who were responsible for war crimes. Many top Nazis were arrested and put on trial in the famous Nuremberg trials. Some were sentenced to death, and others were sent to prison. However, not all Nazis were caught. Thousands of Nazi officers, doctors, scientists, and soldiers feared punishment. They believed that if they stayed in Europe, they would be arrested, judged, and possibly executed. Because of this fear, many Nazis decided to escape. After the war, Nazi members were hiding everywhere. Some hid in forests, some in small villages, and others pretended to be ordinary civilians. They shaved their mustaches, changed their clothes, and destroyed documents that showed their Nazi past. Still, many of them believed hiding inside Europe was too dangerous. The Allied forces were actively hunting war criminals, and survivors were identifying those who had hurt them. This fear led to the creation of secret escape systems. These systems helped Nazis leave Europe quietly and start new lives far away. These escape systems later became known as Nazi escape lines or Ratlines. Word ratline was used because the escapes were secret and hidden, like rats escaping through small tunnels. The Nazi escape lines were secret routes and networks that helped Nazis escape from Europe after World War II. They were not official government programs at first. Instead, they were organized by groups of people who sympathized with the Nazis or who wanted to help them for political or personal reasons. These escape lines provided fake identity papers, safe houses, money, and travel routes. The Nazis used these resources to move from country to country without being noticed. The final goal was usually to reach South America, where it was easier to hide and live without fear of arrest. Many different people and groups helped Nazis escape. Some helpers were former Nazis who survived the war. Others were civilians who supported Nazi ideas or hated communism. There were also corrupt officials who accepted bribes in exchange for help. Some members of religious institutions were accused of helping Nazis, especially by providing shelter or documents. It is important to say that this was not the official position of the church as a whole, but some individuals helped secretly. Certain officials in European governments also looked the other way, especially during the early Cold War period when communism became a bigger concern than Nazi crimes. One of the most important tools for escape was fake identity papers. Many Nazis received new names, new birth dates, and new professions. Some pretended to be refugees or displaced persons. International organizations that were trying to help war refugees were sometimes tricked into giving travel documents to Nazis who were lying about their past. With these papers, Nazis could move more easily across borders. They often traveled through Italy or Spain, countries that were less strict at that time. From there, they boarded ships that sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to South America. South America became the main destination for escaping Nazis for several reasons. First, it was very far from Europe. This distance made it difficult for European authorities to track people down. Second, some South American governments were friendly toward Germany or were neutral during the war. Third, many countries in South America already had large German communities where Nazis could blend in easily. Countries such as Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Paraguay, and Bolivia became common destinations. Among these, Argentina was the most famous for accepting former Nazis. At that time, Argentina was ruled by President Juan Perón, who admired some aspects of Nazi Germany and allowed many Germans to enter the country. Once Nazis arrived in South America, many started new lives. They opened businesses, worked on farms, or became factory workers. Some lived quietly and avoided attention. Others continued to support Nazi beliefs in secret groups. Many changed their names permanently and even raised families who never knew about their past. In some cases, their neighbors suspected nothing. These former Nazis lived normal lives while the families of their victims were still suffering. Several well-known Nazi criminals escaped using the Ratlines. One of the most famous was Adolf Eichmann, a key organizer of the Holocaust. He escaped to Argentina under a fake name. For many years, he lived quietly until Israeli intelligence agents captured him in 1960. He was taken to Israel, put on trial, and executed. Another famous Nazi was Joseph Mengele, a doctor who performed cruel experiments on prisoners at Auschwitz. He escaped to South America and lived in several countries, including Argentina and Brazil. Despite many attempts, he was never captured and died years later. One of the most popular and controversial questions is whether Adolf Hitler himself escaped to South America. Many books, movies, and internet stories claim that Hitler survived the war and fled using secret routes. However, most historians strongly agree that Hitler died in Berlin in April 1945. According to eyewitness accounts and evidence, Hitler committed suicide as Soviet forces closed in on his bunker. His body was burned, but dental records later confirmed his identity. The stories about Hitler escaping are considered conspiracy theories. There is no solid proof that he escaped to South America. While it is true that many Nazis escaped, there is no reliable evidence that Hitler was one of them. The theories about Hitler's escape exist for several reasons. First, Hitler's body was not publicly displayed, which created doubt in some people's minds. Second, the Cold War created confusion and secrecy. Third, the idea of Hitler escaping makes for dramatic stories that sell books and movies. People are often drawn to mystery and hidden truths. This has helped these theories survive, even though historical evidence does not support them. After World War II, the Cold War began between the United States and the Soviet Union. During this time, fighting communism became a top priority for Western countries. Because of this, some former Nazis were seen as useful, especially scientists and intelligence experts. In some cases, governments ignored the Nazi past of certain individuals because they wanted their knowledge. This allowed some war criminals to escape justice or live freely for many years. The Nazi escape lines raise serious moral and legal questions. Was it right to allow war criminals to escape punishment? Should governments have done more to stop these escape routes? Many people believe justice was delayed or denied because of political interests. For survivors of Nazi crimes, these escapes were deeply painful. Knowing that those responsible for murder and suffering lived free lives felt like a second injustice. Over time, journalists, historians, and investigators worked hard to uncover the truth. Nazi hunters like Simon Wiesenthal dedicated their lives to finding escaped war criminals. Because of their efforts, some Nazis were eventually found and brought to trial even decades later. These investigations showed that the escape lines were real and widespread. They also showed how weak international law was at the time and how easy it was for criminals to disappear. The story of the Nazi escape lines teaches important lessons. It shows the danger of allowing political interests to override justice. It reminds us that crimes against humanity should never be ignored, no matter how much time has passed. It also shows the importance of strong international cooperation. Today, war criminals are more likely to be tracked through shared databases, modern technology, and global agreements. Even today, the Nazi escape lines are discussed because they show how evil can escape when systems fail. They remind the world that justice must be protected. History should not be forgotten, because forgetting allows similar crimes to happen again. This story is also a warning about misinformation. While some Nazis truly escaped, not every dramatic claim, such as Hitler living secretly in South America, is true. Careful study of evidence is always important. In simple terms, the Nazi escape lines were secret paths used by Nazi criminals to escape Europe after World War II, mainly to South America. Many Nazis feared punishment and used fake identities, helpers, and hidden routes to avoid justice. Some lived free for years, while others were eventually caught. Although many Nazis escaped, there is no strong evidence that Hitler escaped. The escape lines were real, but the Hitler escape story remains a myth. This incident remains one of history's darkest chapters, reminding us of the importance of truth, justice, and remembrance.